Do you have children who fight all the time? Or at least to you, it seems like all the time. Do they argue, quarrel, compete, and sometimes even hit each other? Would you like to change that? Duh. We can show you how. It's no fun at all being around kids who are constantly in some form of contention. The tension of their argument just fills the house and drives out all the joy. I'm here to tell you that there is a solution, and we're not talking about controlling or minimizing the fighting. Not nearly enough. We're talking about eliminating it. I know, fantastic, but we can. Welcome to the answers you've been hoping for. For a long time now, you've been looking for ways to help your child. And I greatly admire what you're doing right now. You're looking for answers. You're trying to love your child, which is way more than most parents do. And finally, you're in the right place. It's like you've been paddling around in the middle of the ocean, desperately looking for help, and now, almost unbelievably, it's here. This is the ship you've been looking for in the middle of the ocean. How could I make such a bold promise? Because I know how to teach parents how to help their children who argue with each other. What I teach has been used by uncounted thousands of parents, and it works consistently. I'm not trying to sell you something here that we're going to do. We're going to do it right now. You don't have to wait. The training begins right now. In the next few seconds, I'll be teaching you things about your children and yourselves that you've never known. What a relief to know that right now you're exactly where you've wanted to be. You can learn what you need to learn. Finally, you can feel encouraged. You can feel hope. You can help your child, and I'm going to help you do that. You wouldn't be here unless two things were true. You have a child who fights and argues, or more than one child, sometimes with a sibling, sometimes with others. And two, you care enough to do something about it. I know you've tried to change things, explaining, lecturing, nagging, stopping, reading books, yelling, controlling, all of that and more. But you've still got that endless arguing going on around you, the contention, the fighting, and you're frustrated and tired. You've been looking for something that works, and here it is. Principles that have proven to work hundreds of thousands of times all over the world. If parents are thoroughly committed to learning and practicing what I'm going to share with you, predictably, I see children stop arguing and fighting. It just evaporates. And instead, they become happy. Even after everything else has failed, you become pretty happy too. It is not hopeless. I'm here to help you, and I'll be using the insight and experience of counseling with thousands of parents, and from writing 20 books and endless articles on the subject, as well as appearing on 1,600 radio and television shows and presenting seminars all around the world, and more. You are about to change the world around you, and you don't have to do it alone, which is miserable and frustrating. You've already proven that with your own experience. So now the question that has to be on your mind, what am I going to teach you that you don't already know? What am I going to say that you haven't already read or heard somewhere else? This is going to be revolutionary for you to hear, so slow down your brain and listen with your soul. What does a child need more than anything else? Oh, how we don't ask that question enough. After food, water, and air, the answer's glaringly obvious, and yet we keep missing it, over and over missing it. To see the answer, let's start with an infant. When an infant cries, other than from obvious physical pain, what does he want? Well, intuitively, you already know because you just pick him up. You're pretty smart. You already know that every child wants to feel cared for. Every child wants to feel loved. Picking them up and holding them is just a demonstration of that. And if you're genuine in caring about them, they feel it. But infants, are relatively easy to love. They smile, melt your heart, make cute little noises, laugh in ways that we never hear anywhere else. They're adorable. But then they get older and they learn how to spill things and make messes and say no ferociously when you tell them what to do, and scream in their car seat and refuse to listen to you, say ugly and hateful things to you and other people, and fight and argue with their siblings and with others. They get a lot harder to love. And when that happens, we really don't know what to do. Usually, we try to control their behavior. We might even temporarily succeed, but it doesn't last, and we end up with contentious and unhappy kids. We're not so happy either. Let me say this another way. If our children become more difficult to love as their behavior changes, that proves that we don't know how to love them unconditionally. If we loved them unconditionally, we'd love them no matter what. But if loving becomes more difficult when they argue and fight, for example, understandably, our love is conditional. Unconditional love, or what I call real love, means caring about another person without wanting anything from them in return. Oh, but we do expect something in return for our loving our children. Respect, cooperation, gratitude, and reasonable behavior, which would certainly not include fighting and arguing. Now, more about unconditional love. That kind of love would mean that our love would not be affected by what they do. That's what unconditional love means. But we really don't know how to do that. How do I know? We prove it every time we become angry or disappointed or impatient or irritated at them. Our anger and disappointment and frustration are undeniable proof that our love is not unconditional. Deep inside, you know what I'm saying is true. You can feel it. But let me demonstrate further. When other people are angry at you, do you like it? No, you don't. Like, not ever. Nobody does. When other people are angry at us, or when we're angry at other people, we're all saying, look at what you did to me, or failed to do for me. When we're angry, we're focused on ourselves, utterly. Me, me, me. And in that moment, other people, notably our children, hear only 4 words. I don't love you. When we're angry, we are far too occupied with ourselves to unconditionally love anybody. I repeat, when we are angry at another person, including our child, they hear only, I don't love you. I promise you that this is true. And no, we don't mean to say that. But what else could people hear while our words, tone, and behavior are screaming, me, me, me? I don't love you is what you hear and feel when people are angry at you. Think about that honestly for a moment. And it's what our children hear and feel when we're angry at them. Again, we do not mean to do this. We don't mean to hurt our children. Ridiculous. But it was inevitable because we were not loved unconditionally, which means being consistently loved without disappointment or anger, being loved freely, no conditions. So how could we possibly have learned how to unconditionally love our own children? Impossible. And there's nobody to blame. Our ignorance of real love has simply perpetuated over generations, one after another. We don't know how to love unconditionally because we've never seen it or felt it with any consistency. For emphasis, I'm going to say all this in a slightly different way. When children behave badly, when they argue and fight, it is always a reaction to them not feeling loved unconditionally, loved without disappointment, irritation, frustration, or anger. I mean it. Now, this could sound a little discouraging, even bleak. Overall, it is kind of bleak. Look at the world, at the utter obsession with things that are distractions from our pain, from our not feeling loved, like endless entertainment, addiction to electronics, anger, controlling people, drugs, alcohol, sex, the list goes on and on. There is the proof that overall we do not know how to love people unconditionally, and proof that we don't feel loved unconditionally. If we did, and I speak here with vast experience, all those behaviors I listed and more would not exist. Hard to imagine, but true. I've been teaching unconditional love now for so many years to so many parents that I can tell you this with complete certainty. When a child truly feels loved unconditionally, he or she does not have any desire to argue and fight with other people. Instead, they're happy and responsible and have all those qualities you wish they had. With sufficient love, there's simply no need to be angry and take it out on other people. Happy people don't behave like that, period, ever. So that's what I'll be teaching you. How to love your children unconditionally, which then gives them, finally, a reason to listen to you. How many times have you wondered, what is wrong with this kid? Why does he never listen to me? There's an answer. Here it is. Because when you're irritated or disappointed, your child hears only, I don't love you. And that is so devastating that he or she hears none of the rest of the content of what you say. If you love them unconditionally, though, they can hear you, what you're really saying, because they're not distracted by their fear. They're not blinded and deafened by the I don't love you message. Then it becomes possible for you to teach them anything, like how to be loving and responsible themselves. And if they have that powerful trifecta, they feel loved, and they are loving and responsible, they are guaranteed to be happy. And happy people don't fight and argue. They're guaranteed to be happy, which is the ultimate goal for any parent, or frankly, any person. Your children can learn that being happy is way better, way more fun than arguing and fighting. Take my hand, and we'll talk about what you can do and how I will support you. It will almost be like starting over as a parent. You're going to learn how to become a real parent, and your child will learn the lessons of life that will benefit him or her for the rest of their lives. If you implement what you learn here, and if you do it consistently, you simply will not believe the differences you'll see in your child and in you and in your family. Imagine it. No more arguing or fighting or competing. None. No more ugly words. No more tension in the family. Well, it's astonishing to see and to feel. Our children are not defective. They're not bad. We're not bad. We just have not known how to love and teach them. What we're doing with our kids now is not working. Loving and teaching them does. Rarely is it too late to change whatever unproductive behaviors you're dealing with. Not if you're really willing to learn and apply these principles to the interaction with your child. I can promise you, learning how to be a real parent is worth it. We're about to learn how to eliminate the behaviors in your children that are hurting them and making you a little crazy. For real. I make you another promise. Learning to be a loving, effective parent is easier than everything else you've done as a parent so far. We're really going to get into this. This is not a casual effort. We're not looking to make your children more manageable as though they were objects. That's not even close to being enough. Our mission is to help you become a powerful and effective parent, and to help your child feel loved and to be loving, responsible, and therefore genuinely happy. It's a transformation. If you are truly committed to learning how to parent I'm fully committed to teach you, and I will bring resources to the table you never thought about. The rewards are spectacular, as we've seen in uncounted thousands of families. There is not a single thing you will ever do that will ring through the ages more powerfully than being a loving and effective parent. You can do this. So let's learn some more. Let's get started. Click the button below. It's free to begin transforming your life as a ridiculously effective parent.